wasn't initially going to read this, but the night took a couple different turns than I envisioned, so I'm going to have to read it. First of all, I'd just like to start by thanking everybody for joining us tonight. It's great to see a lot of new faces and a lot of people that obviously mean the world to both James and Aria and our family, and I'm sure Aria's family as well. So thanks to everybody for making the trip. For those of you that don't know who I am, I guess I'm James's middle brother, and the one that used to beat him up for about 28 years. And I tried my best, and I think I did a pretty good job. And I also want to say that both of you guys look great tonight, and Aria looked beautiful. So. Over the past few years, I was able to really witness James and Aria's love grow. It really was. I guess it's hard for me to explain because I was there the night they actually met in Philadelphia, and I guess the bridesmaids did a better job explaining it with the whole love thing and all that stuff. And all that was there, but it was also just, initially you can tell, because guys it's a lot more difficult for guys to go out there and express how they're really feeling about somebody, but you can tell that James, it was different this time. So for that, I guess we were all excited to see and very happy that you actually finally met somebody that you knew was different than the rest. And not that there was a lot of others. It was just maybe one or two. That's about it. Back in high school. All kidding aside, Aria, after getting to know you for, I guess, 4, 5, 6 years, guys have a different time table when it comes to relationships. I really understand why James feels the way he does about you. You really are a special person. You have a very big heart, and most importantly, your very big heart really takes care of my little brother, which means the world to me and my family as well. It's very important, and obviously, now that you're part of the whole Greek community, you know that you really need to take care of your man too. So you're very understanding and flexible, which is a necessity when it comes to being in a relationship. I think, and both of you really share that. Even more so, you've shown my family and I that no matter what goes on around you guys, that James is your #1 priority, and I think that speaks volumes, and I thank you for that. So as I sat down a few weeks ago to gather some more thoughts on what I was going to say to a group of people who know and love Aria and James, I thought about trying to embarrass James, and that would have been very easy. But if I took that route, I would have also been embarrassing myself, my brother, my cousins, and probably half the people in this room. So I decided to take another route, and just to share a couple stories about James and I growing up, and I guess how some of the history that we've shared together, which I'm I guess very happy to have shared. As kids, we were really taught by our family that really family comes first before anything. And so about 3 or 4 years ago, when James first took his first job in finance in New York, I really sat back and remembered what my parents taught me. And so I extended James the offer to move in with me in my apartment in New York. And for those of us that live in New York, I think we all realize that apartments in New York are closets for most people. So it's a very tight space. And you know, James took me up on the offer, but I have yet to ask my roommate Stas if that really worked. But I approached Stas, and it kind of initially gave me the look as, where the hell are we going to stick this guy? But after discussing with Stas, he was more than welcome to have James on board. And you know, weeks later, James ended up moving his twin bed into my room along with his dresser and clothes. And my room really looked like a college dorm room again. But I couldn't have been happier to have my brother with me in the city. And then I think to kind of sum that story up, Brian O'Connor and I were at a work dinner one night, and I was all excited to show him my apartment in New York. So I said, hey Brian, why don't you come up and check out the apartment? It's a great apartment. We walked through the lobby. He goes, wow, you really live in a great place. You must really be doing good for yourself. We roll up to my apartment. We enter the door. He sees the family room, which again, it really involved the futon, I think, and a large screen TV. So it wasn't that lavish. And then we entered my room, and he paused for a second. And he looked at me and he said, "Is that a twin bed in the corner?" He said, "It's really 1 foot away from your bed. I don't understand what you use that for." I said, "No, that's actually James's bed. That's where my brother sleeps." So we sat there, and he looked at me and he said, "You know what, from now on, it's really Bert and Ernie. It's not James and George." So from there on, it really was, Bert and Ernie. And I wouldn't have it any other way. He's really my best friend, and I would do anything for him. And Aria, you're obviously part of the family now, so if you ever need a corner in my room, not in a creepy way, but you can have it. And the second story that I wanted to share with you guys today was, as being kind of the middle child, an older brother to James, I felt like part of my job was to teach him life lessons. And my parents came here from Greece with not anything in their pocket in order to create a better future for ourselves and for themselves and for the families. And that really meant that during our early years, we didn't have some of the current luxuries that exist in our lives today. And for instance, central air. In our house growing up, we had one AC unit for the entire house that was in my parents' room. And we weren't really allowed to turn that on unless it was 100 degrees plus. So on one of these summer days, I locked myself in the room, and James was banging on the door asking me to let him in. And it had gotten to the point, it was so bad that he was literally standing there dripping with sweat in his tidy whities. Which I'm sure Aria can vouch for us today, he probably still wears. And he was sitting there, begging for probably about 10 minutes, 15 minutes. He might think it was longer, but I think that was probably the right time frame. And eventually, when I said to him, I said, "Listen, I'll let you into the room if you pay me $500. And at this point, I think we were 7 and 8, so it was very hard for James to come by $500, but nevertheless, he agreed. I let him into the room, and he enjoyed the air conditioning. And I'm sure most of you guys are probably thinking, what a jerk. But as a big brother, it really was my job to teach him life lessons. So, but all joking aside, this is sort of the type of person my brother is, because even though it was such a ridiculous bet, and James really had no money or any avenue of really paying me, he still honored his obligation. And it wasn't through cash. I mean, he was technically my slave for about a month. But with every task, he worked off $25 or $30. And by the end of the summer, I think he had worked off his debt. So, and this has really followed him through the rest of his life and career. He started off as an undergrad, turned to law school, he passed the bar, banking, and then most importantly, he met Aria. And I think he has proven what commitment really is. And I think it started off with what I have taught him through us growing up. So you're welcome. And I really do think the vows exchanged today at the ceremony really show us that both James and Aria have a commitment to each other, and I have full faith in the world this will be the easiest commitment for them to keep. These are two people that really love each other very much, and they really put their love before all else, and that's very good. It's a good thing. And Aria, I know that it's difficult to really break into the whole Greek family and culture. I know there's a lot of demands, and I guess we're a little picky with certain things. But I really want you to know that once you do break into the family, you really are family, and you have broken into the family, and we consider you family.